Hi Book 2, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie and it's time for another 7 on Sunday topic. So this week's topic is 7 series you'll never continue. Now, I am at my opinions, my reasons for not continuing these aren't anything exciting or interesting. It's just I lost interest in a lot of these. I'll elaborate more on that as I go through each of them. Some of them might have been a little bit more of a reason is a little more interesting, but probably not that interesting. Okay, so number one that I decided to continue is the Witcher series by Andrzej Sapkowski. I hope I'm saying that right. This is a fantasy series. It was a translated fantasy series, actually, and it was made into a very famous video game, and now it's currently a show, which sadly has lost its main actor. Although he's filming the one more season. I think he filmed one more season before he left for good. Which is sad because that actor it sounded like he was perfect for the role, not just in his looks and his acting, but also he was really passionate about it and he wanted them to do justice to it. So, unfortunately, I just lost interest. I wasn't excited and eager to pick up the next book every time I finished it. I mean, it would take me years to read it, and the books are not that long and not that hard to read. I mean, the translation is a little awkward at times when I'm reading it, and it was an entertaining series, and I liked Ciri and Geralt's relationship. I thought it was very sweet. Like father-daughter kind of situation. But I don't know, I just wasn't eager to pick it up after I finished each book. It felt more like, oh, I gotta pick up the next one now. So it felt kind of a chore. And sometimes I do wonder when it comes to stuff like this, if the only reason why I picked it up in the first place is partially because there were booktubers I love and enjoy watching that, oh, they loved it, it was so great, so it must be good. And it wasn't terrible, it just didn't hold my attention all that much. And it would probably almost been easier for me to watch a TV show, despite the fact that it's apparently to the fans who really know the story, it's not a good adaptation, which is sadly important. Seems like it's a pattern, especially with Netflix and Amazon, that they just are not very good with their adaptations. I mean, I always have hope, but it seems they tend to fall apart and disappoint the fans. I mean, it's a tough balance to please, the original fans versus getting new fans and wanting to do your own thing. So, I'm still probably gonna get back into watching, like, the Lord of the Rings one and everything, but, and I might watch the Witcher series because I did like the series. I thought it was entertaining, as far as the show goes, but anyway. So that's number one. Number two is Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. I liked it for a little while, just like I liked Witcher for a little bit. I liked all the history that Gabaldon delves into, all the Scottish history. The romance is very sweet and everything. But after a while, it just got to be, again, another one that I wasn't eager to pick up all the time, It got tedious after a while, and, and the only reason, again, there was a little bit of influence of Outsiders where, like, my mom got into it for a little bit. She never read the books, but she did like the show. And my aunt read the books, and I felt like, oh, well, then maybe I should give it a shot and keep going with it because they love it. And I just kept going back and forth with it, and I have considered audiobook. It's still on the fence. There's still a possibility that I might, which deviates the purpose of me putting this series on this list because it does never continue. But there's a tiny chance I might listen to the audiobook, but I probably won't. That's why it's on this list, because there's more of a chance of me not reading it ever again, even via audiobook. I mean, so, like, I'm sorry, but it's just, again, another I mean, I think more people would probably be disappointed that I'm not continuing Witcher than this one. Okay, so the 3 and 4 are actually by the same author, and number 3 was a recent decision, and that is the Kingsbridge series by Ken Follett. And I definitely like this more. I was more intrigued by this than the series that I put down for number 4. I thought the idea of building a cathedral was kind of cool and everything and that, but I was just not, I did not, again, another one that I wasn't excited to pick up. Like, I would be intrigued when I read it, but then it would be sitting there for months. And I'm trying to break that cycle of letting books sit on my shelf for a long time, for months or years, and actually read them when I buy them, or at least finish them a lot more, like, at least finish them sooner rather than later, like, not wait years to finish them. Now the bigger ones, though, that's, and this one was a big one, each of the books, they were chunksters, and now there were parts of it that kind of bothered me. They weren't necessarily deal breakers, but they did irk me a little bit, like, our main character, Tom the Builder, he's happily married, he loves his wife, and she's his soulmate and everything, and she's carrying his other child, and they have 2 other kids, and the oldest is a total brat you want to punch in the face most of the time, and they're traveling while she's pregnant, because he keeps getting fired, and of course this is before cars and stuff, because of medieval times, and she ends up having to deliver while they're in the woods, dies giving childbirth. The baby is stillborn, so he has to bury the baby. And, he's all about, I love my wife, and he's crying and everything, and then he comes across a woman that they met earlier, who is a witch, and is immediately drawn to her, and like, I'm in love with you. Oh, and she's all like, I knew we were going to be together and find each other and everything, and they are rolling the sack early on. Right away after, and it hasn't been months, it's been days since his wife died, and he buried his child, and I'm like, what the heck? And then the other thing is that she has a son who's a little more passive. She kind of coddles him. Like, I do agree with Tom when he says that she coddles him and babies him a little bit, because he doesn't, boys still need a male influence in their lives, I think, I mean, a woman definitely could, as a woman, I do feel like we could raise a little boy and make them strong, but there's still just some things that we don't understand as women when it comes to boys, just as there's things that guys don't understand about women that would make it hard for them to raise the child of the opposite gender. So I do agree, she's a little protective and coddles her son, but, like, Tom's oldest son, he's big, he's taller, he's stronger, he's been, he knows more about the world, and he's a bully, and he's picking on this kid and beating the crap out of this kid, and, like, when his mom goes to him, is like, look, your son is a bully and you need to discipline him. Granted, this is not her child, so she doesn't necessarily, that is a shaky ground, but his response is, oh, boys are just being boys. Oh, he's toughening him up. It's like, yeah, there's one thing with toughening a boy up, by another male toughening a boy up, but beating the shit out of them and bullying them and constantly getting them in trouble and then acting like you're all innocent, that's a whole other story. Like, that pissed me off. Like, and just, those things irked me. I mean, it wasn't enough, obviously, because I got to chapter 6. And I don't mind big tomes. I mean, I just finished Anna Karenina, and I loved Count of Monte Cristo when I read it. But this was slow and kind of boring. I hate to say that, call a book boring, but it was. Not a lot was going on. I mean, I tried to get into it, but I just could not. I just couldn't. And the other Ken Follett series that I have on here is the Century Trilogy. And I wasn't, again, in a situation where I wasn't as motivated to pick it up. And I didn't get as far into this one to really have strong feelings about it. I just wasn't feeling inspired to read it. you know. And then I did that thing I always do where I go on Goodreads to read other people's reviews and see if anything they said would spark my attention or get me interested again, and it just didn't. I just wasn't as into it. And also I was feeling like, okay, I get to make a decision and, donate some books, and so I decide on that one, and then, and then more recently, Kingsbridge. So, sorry, Ken Follett. I just couldn't get into your books. Okay, so that was number 4. Number 5. Oh, this one I have a little bit more strong opinions, like I did with Kingsbridge. The Keeper of the Lost Cities. This is a middle grade series, which it was really fun at first, and I liked what they were doing with elves and stuff. Like, you either get the little old men elves that, make toys and bake cookies, or you get the, the beautiful elves, like in Lord of the Rings and stuff. But this one does a different, take and got a little more creative. It kind of made me think of, the graphic novel series that Terry tried to get me into, ElfQuest. Which, even though that was another DNF situation, I still thought a lot of the ideas and what they did with the elves was really cool, and that too. That's ElfQuest. But ElfQuest was more about that. It was a graphic novel, and I can't get into that format. It's just, like, I don't like having to go back and forth and be like, oh, I gotta look at the pictures, and I gotta read the words, and, I just don't like doing that. That's just a bit too much for me. Yeah, so, it was good in the beginning, but then, first of all, the main character, Sophie, was super powered. It was always revealed, constantly, abilities that she could do were revealed in each book. And that kind of got annoying after a while. And then on top of that, like, it felt like it didn't need to be 9 books. It didn't need to be 9 books, because every time the kids would go off and fight the bad guys. And they never defeated them. It was like one of those scenes where, you're fighting this hero is fighting the bad guy, and the mustache-rolling bad guy is, yeah, you've defeated me this time, ha ha ha, but I'll be back. It felt like that a lot of times with the villains. And then the love stories the romance got kind of annoying after a while, especially because the end game love interest, I did not like him. I couldn't stand him. Like, I try not to be one of those people that dismisses a series because the love interest, but that just kind of, that was only one part. There were, like I said, there was obviously other contributing factors to why I DNF'd the series, but, like, he was so annoying and so selfish and self-centered, and just, like, I could not stand the guy she was in love with, the boy that she was in love with. And I definitely had a preference. And if he was not that annoying, if he was a little more likable and less arrogant, then I would have been okay if it wasn't the guy I wanted her to be with. If he wasn't the guy she chose, if he wasn't the endgame love interest, that would have been fine. As long as the endgame love interest, I actually liked him. Because, like, I like Stefan. I like, I liked both Angel and Spike. And I'm trying to think of other love triangles where I liked both guys. But I definitely, I liked both Eric and, what is his name? I can't remember. In True Blood / Suki Stackhouse. Can't remember who it was. But anyway, I liked both those guys too. They were both somewhat likable. And, but, I mean, I have my preferences, but they were decent male characters, and I could understand why, in the end, maybe the guy that they choose is better. But this one was just, like, I couldn't stand this kid. And it just got, after a while, it got monotonous, and I got tired of it, because it felt like the same thing. There might be a new thing revealed or something, some new interesting little fact or something that they need to find, or, like, some more information on Sophie's past. But mostly it was just after a while I was like, okay, this is getting a little too repetitive for me. Okay, so that was number 5. Number 6, Throne of Glass series. I DNF'd this one a long time ago, but all these I DNF'd a long time ago. I haven't really DNF'd any series lately. I mean, even series that I thought I was done with and I wasn't going to continue when I found out they were writing more books, I have come back to at least one of them. And that is The School for Good and Evil. But anyway, Throne of Glass. Again, unfortunately, this was kind of a situation where part of my reasoning of DNFing this is also has to do with the endgame love interest. But that one wasn't a deal breaker for me. I mean, to be fair, it wasn't a deal breaker, but after a while, I just got kind of annoyed with the main character, whatever her name is. I can't think of her name. It's gonna randomly pop into my head, I'm sure. But, yeah, I did not love her as a main character. She got kind of annoying. And after a while, there were things I liked about it. I liked about the series, but after a while, I don't know. Again, I lost interest. And the main character annoyed me. I try not to be, but sometimes I hate to admit it, but I do. I'm starting to see that, yeah, main character can be a deal breaker. Like, they don't have to be likable. I love Scarlett O'Hara, and she's a bitch. Scarlett O'Hara is a brat and a bitch. But, there's a difference between, for me, there can be a hateable character, or there can be a character that's just plain annoying, and you want to smack them, and you just cannot stand hearing from them. But there are characters that are bratty, that can still be entertaining to read for me. So I gave up on that series a long time ago. But I am actually rereading it. But I am actually rereading her other series, so I can continue on and read the next book. Okay, so the last one, number 7, is a really long time ago. All these were recent, a little bit more recent, only like a few years. This one was years ago, and that is The Sleeping Beauty trilogy she writes it under a pseudonym, but it's Anne Rice. This is The Sleeping Beauty, like if she was woken up by, the prince, but he was he had sex slaves. Basically, sex slaves. I'm not comfortable reading stories about BDSM and all that kind of stuff. It just made me uncomfortable, and I was annoyed by it. And the only reason I always say that I continue is because I wanted to make sure she got away from it. And then I found out there was a 4th book, and basically she does the same thing. She's a little more, gives people permission, lets people have choice. So that's all nice and all. But yeah, she's just made me uncomfortable. Like, I like Anne Rice's writing, and I know that she writes some things that I'm not necessarily comfortable with all the time, but I still like the Vampire Chronicles and the Made for Witches series. But this one I just did not like, was not comfortable with it, so I gave up on it. But like I said, that was years ago. That was not as recent as all these other ones. But anyway, so those are my 7 series that I'm never going to continue. Like I said, there's a small chance with Outlander. There's a tiny chance, but it probably won't happen. So please feel free to share in the comments below what are series that you are probably not going to continue. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, click subscribe if you haven't already, click the bell notification below, and I will also post a link to the Goodreads group in the description box if you are interested in doing one of the topics or joining the group. And I will talk to y'all later. Alright, bye!